If you guys want to check out the cold open from this show, you could do so by going to my Twitter, JRoseWXYZ. That's where you'll find that awesome. I mean, we should have just replayed it to come back into this segment. You guys want to see it again, right?
So much to talk about. We can't.
There's so much to talk about. Look, the Pistons. Rod.
Where to start?
Where to start? Hashtag start writing, of course, has been your big thing.
That was today.
That was today. But I also wanted to bring up the thought process that it wasn't. This season so far, up until the last maybe 3 weeks, hasn't been a start writing season. They've come back in a lot of games, and I want to start with why do they fall behind by at least 14 points in every game?
And it's amazing that you brought that up because that seems to be the number in just about every game. It's 14, and then you just say, well,
it's over. Start writing.
This is Charlotte. You're losing to Charlotte. You're losing to the Hawks at home.
An 8-win Atlanta team came in and punked you today.
At your crib. On Christmas week. It starts with a dependency, an over-dependency on Blake Griffin that in the first part of this season we got to dump it to Blake, dump it to Blake, dump it to Blake, and then let him create and find other three-point shooters. And when those shots don't fall, then you look really, really bad. And Blake can have his 50 against Philly. He can have his 30 points. So he's averaging about 23, 25 points a game. That's good, but you need other guys around that. We've seen Andre Drummond have a really good all-star caliber season, but after those two, there's such a significant drop-off to the next guy, and that's where that development has to take place. Reggie Jackson hasn't been that third guy. Reggie Bullock is showing signs that he could become that, but you need multiple guys coming off that bench who are able to hit that shot, and it just hasn't been that way.
Well, that brings me to my next point. I mean, you need to find that guy. Are they going to go and do what I said in the first song, the best song out there, and trade their first-round pick again?
The people I've talked to around the league have said that's probably not happening, that they've been very protective of that because they traded it last year, and you want to try to start building up some young talent. They've got to build over the next couple of years, and it's going to be a patient expectation of just wait till these contracts start coming off the books. You get Reggie Jackson off, you get Langston Galloway, and then John Lure's contract come off the books next year. You get a couple of them to come off this year. You've got to make a decision on Stanley Johnson. It's the same sort of deal with the Lions. Is you've got to figure out what the construction of this team is going to be long term, but they're not going to trade assets moving forward to try to correct something that's going to correct itself.
Let me ask you this. Who's pulling the strings then? Because you know you have Ed Stefanski in town now. You have Dwayne Casey. I mean, this is a Coach of the Year from a year ago. And is Dwayne Casey going to have enough impact with the help of Stefanski to control what Gores wants to do? Because he still is in that, I think, win now. We got to win now. We got to win now. Put butts in the seats. Win, win, win.
It is Stefanski, no question about it. He doesn't have that general manager or president's title, but he is making all the calls. He is running all of the GM-type operations. For lack of a better term, he is exactly that. Okay. Senior advisor, special advisor, but he is that guy. And I think they understand that they are locked into contractually what this team is. They're right under the luxury tax. And if you make people have said, hey, trade Reggie Jackson. Trade him for what? I mean, what
who are you going to get in
return?
What
value are you going to get? And if you're trading with a team that you've got to have equal salary value or something similar coming back, and the trade value just isn't there for Reggie Jackson, for Stanley Johnson, for a lot of these guys. Even if you tried to trade Andre Drummond, and I mentioned he's an all-star caliber guy, you're not going to get equal value back because most teams already have the center they want, or they're grooming some young center to become that guy. You're not really trading Blake Griffin either. There's nobody that you can trade that's going to bring you back something that you need. Even if you said Luke Kennard,
right,
or Reggie Bullock, whose contract ends at the end of this year, even if you trade one of those guys, you're going to get something lesser in return. So you've just got to ride it out and hope that you get some player development this year that just makes it somehow better.
Real quick, does this season going to continue to be this way, where it's like struggle to get through, get by, and will they make the playoffs kind of because the East is what it is?
I think they're gonna hover around 500 because we've seen it: win 5, lose 5, win 6, lose 6. They're going to hover around there, but the schedule's going to get easier. When they beat Golden State, they had the easiest schedule in the league. Now they're right around the middle. So they've seen how some of these tough teams play, and they've taken their lumps while they've gotten through that. But I mean, it's a tough time, as Devin said, because you can imagine there was somebody at the Lions game, hustled their way out of there to go to the Pistons game, and just got another lump of coal when they watched that game too. So that's a daily double for me.
I actually know a guy that did that.
No, that is brutal.
He came all the way. He's from here, and he went down to Atlanta for work now, and he came up and did the Lions-Pistons doubleheader.
Wow.
Tim, Good for you, bud. They got to see two of the greatest of all time. But he did get to see the open of the show, which is the greatest of all time. I'm not going to stop harping.
That was free, though.
That was free. All right, coming up next, we got to talk a little bit about Michigan football and Toledo football. DeQuan Finn in the house. We'll talk to him coming up next on the 7 Sports Cave. Stay with us.